This is Kristen.
And I'm Steve, and you are listening to Cycling Together, a podcast about all things bikes, riding, and riding together.
Hello.
Hi. So for those of you keeping track, you might have noticed that we were off a week, an extra week. So
we're off an extra week.
We are back.
I'm sure no one noticed but us.
Right.
Today we started, it's Sunday, and we started the day pretty early for us. We are not morning people. To go up to the midnight ride of cyclocross, which was the end of a 2-week cyclocross reintroduction for us because we helped with a clinic. We helped with 2 clinics. And then we went today to cheer on some of the kids from our local mountain bike team, as well as other friends. And since it's been all things cyclocross for us, that's what we're going to talk about today.
It's a good, perfect time of year to talk about cyclocross. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep, mid-September.
But before we get into that, let's hit 2 topics. Let's talk about Lyme.
So I had Lyme in July, and now here you are.
I had FOMO.
4
I decided
days,
I needed it.
Yeah, 4 days after your diagnosis.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because my symptoms were really weird. I'm going to say right off the bat, I did not have a tick on me that I remember pulling off of me.
No, we did not find one on you.
Embedded. I've had ticks on me because I'm in the woods all the time. I did not have the bullseye, right? I had a...
that you found.
That I found, right? I didn't see that. I had my elbow was a little swollen, but I could also kind of explain that because I had fallen a couple of weeks ago. But then my hands, I started waking up in the morning with my hands numb or tingly. And again, I could explain that. Oh, I'm on my phone too much. Oh, I'm on the Kindle. Oh, I slept funny. But then it started to spread. Then it didn't go away in the morning. And then my other hands started to get tingly.
Yep.
And Monday morning, I said to you, I'm going to run out. I'm getting a Lyme test. And you were like, what? We haven't even had coffee yet. Right?
Yeah.
And I could have called my doctor. Let's be clear. My doctor would have been fine with it. But I just
had that feeling.
I just had a feeling. And I just bought from Quest Diagnostics. I bought the $100. You get the blood test. A couple of days later, you get the results. I'll admit, I even kind of forgot that I had gone in. I forgot to check for the results.
Well, I guess it was on Thursday, and you come over and you said, boy, I have not been feeling good this morning. And then you were like, wait, I can go and check my results.
I honestly had a moment when I was sitting at my desk where I thought, is this what it feels like when a woman has a heart attack? Because they say it's different for women. It's both arms, and I had tingling going down both arms. And yeah, I pulled up my results, and I was red across the board. So I'm on Doxy. I don't really know what the lesson from this is other than to say, trust your instincts. Get a test if you have any questions. Lyme's just weird. Lyme is weird.
And you're lucky you didn't have the intense pain that I got too. And I think we actually caught yours. Well, we definitely caught yours earlier than mine.
I think so. We had tried. We'd sent you in to the CVS mini clinic.
Yes.
And they thought it was
shingles.
It was shingles.
Yeah.
They thought it was you were having one pock, which we have had a friend say in hindsight, that's not how that works.
Right.
So we tried because we thought it might be
Lyme.
We thought it might be
Lyme.
Lyme.
I had pulled a tick out from under my watch band.
Right. And yeah. And my doctor's so used to me doing stuff like this. When I wrote him to tell him what I had done, he was like, so you don't have a rash yet? I was like, nope, I got nothing, but my gut instincts and a credit card. So yeah. So it's very, Lyme is weird. It can do real neurological damage. You were like, I think you're going to feel
for too long.
I think you're going to feel better really soon. I'm going to say it took 3 days before the tingles ended.
Yeah, that's about right.
So that's what we're saying.
If you're out in the woods a lot or
and
at all,
feel weird,
and you've got weird symptoms, then
if you're meeting with your doctor and your doctor says something like, well, none of these symptoms make any sense, which is what your doctor said the first time. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, speaking of ordering things online.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. So last episode, we talked about not ordering bike parts from eBay and Amazon and all the counterfeits and stuff like that.
Was that just last episode?
So I think it was just last episode.
Okay,
so
sweet.
Here we are with a news story. I had a kid's bike come in, and he wanted to turn it into a single-speed dirt jumper.
Okay.
And he had snapped off the hanger, but we needed a hanger for the chain tensioner for this single-speed conversion.
Yep.
And I wasn't quite making an order anytime soon. And I went on to Amazon. And I said, can I just get this hanger for this old bike on there? Oh, I can. There it is.
Okay.
You know what? I can have it tomorrow. I can get this thing done. And so I got this hanger in. And admittingly, it was cheaper than even my cost for a quality wheels manufacturing hanger.
Okay.
And what happened? So here I am breaking my rule about buying a bike part on Amazon, essentially.
Yep.
And it comes in and it's defective.
Oh,
they did not tap out threads in the hanger to mount a derailleur or a chain tensioner.
So it's just a hanger-shaped object?
It was just a hanger-shaped object.
That's my new favorite phrase. Okay, so
there's another lesson about things on Amazon.
I know. Yep. It's such a problem. All right, well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about cyclocross. All right, we're back, and obviously we don't have time for a full in-depth breakdown of all things cyclocross. So to steal the name of the clinic we did, we'll call this a gentle welcome to cyclocross. We're going to hit some of the basics.
Yes, and I think a lot of the items that we touched at with our clinic, it's just good to go over here and sort of talk about what the race is and how you should probably, if you've ever been curious about it, go try your first race.
Yeah. But let's first tell people what cyclocross is for maybe those who don't know or who don't live in an area like we do that has cyclocross easily accessible.
Okay, so it is cyclocross.
I'm going to say it wrong.
It comes out as cyclocross many times, but it's cyclocross with an O in the middle. And USA Cycling defines this as a unique non-Olympic discipline of cycling, because it's not in the Olympics, that can be best described as a cross between road cycling, mountain biking, and steeplechase. And riders start in there's a mass start, and you must navigate through both paved and off-road terrain, mostly off-road, and oftentimes dismounting bikes to go over barriers or climbs or stairs or whatever obstacles the promoters can toss at you.
So I was talking to a parent today who they were new to mountain bike racing, and their son was doing their first cyclocross race, and they were like, how did this even start? And I was like, I know this. I looked it up. I had it for the cyclocross, which is, so one theory is that European road racers in the early 1900s would race each other to the next town over from them, and that they were allowed to cut through farmers' fields and over fences or to take other shortcuts in order to make it to the next town first. That's one of the theories we've heard. And apparently when the 1910 Tour de France winner attributed his win to cyclocross, that's when it really started to take off in France. So it's been around longer than I think we.
Yeah, and I don't know how long. I guess it's how long it's been around in its current format, but it sounds like for a long time.
And it's huge in Europe.
Belgium is the hot spot of cycling. It is a major
Yep.
event on the weekends there. Thousands of people at these festival events for these races.
Yep.
The Belgian superstars of cyclocross are just mega superstars there. and because it's really European focused, and that's where it really is. And it's very niche everywhere else. That's why it's not an Olympic sport. There aren't enough countries and enough people doing it to make it an Olympic sport, really.
Right. Yeah, because it's pretty niche.
And it
even
should be
here-
an Olympic sport, ideally, because it's phenomenal for the Olympics in terms of
it's perfect.
It's a perfect to slot into the Olympics, but it's just not enough.
Right.
Not enough countries.
And one of the reasons we're saying it's perfect is because of how it's set up. So let's talk about the basics. So as we said, this is a timed race and it's on a small course.
Mm-hmm.
It's what, 1.5 to 2 miles.
Yep, usually.
Regulation rise. And it's very twisty. So it's not just a circle. It's on a field. It's very twisty. So it's really fun to watch. Like for the parents that were there today, if I knew the parent, I would be like, you want to go over there to watch because you can see your son going up, going down, twisting
Going around, yes.
Without really.
Yep, there's many courses where you could be standing there and you could see the racer at every single moment of the course. Even if they're far away across the field, you can still see them. We had one section today where there was some trees where you couldn't, but otherwise you could see them everywhere.
Right. The other reason would be so good is it's timed.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And how long? Give me the times.
Anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes.
Okay. And the timing defines?
The timing defines the number of laps.
Yes.
So when the leader comes through on their first lap, the referees will say, okay, they came through in, say, 8 minutes on that lap. And when this is a 40-minute race, so we're gonna have them do 4 laps.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. But if you get lapped, then you're done.
You're done behind you're always done behind the leader.
Right. So the race is always about 40 minutes. Like you're not going to accidentally be out there for 2 hours.
Right.
Right.
Yep. No matter how slow you go, you're done.
You're done. Which was kind of, as we were talking to the kids today, getting them ready and kind of going over that rule, it was almost like, oh, okay, so no matter what, I'm done in 40 minutes. I was like, yeah, and you've done 2-hour mountain bike races.
Right.
So you can do it as fast or as slow as you want.
Right.
Just keep going.
Yep.
And one of them was funny. His dad's on 545 Velo, right? And he's a Dover Demon. And he passed these 2 guys from 545. And then later on, I saw that the men had passed him again. So I'm talking to him and he's like, yeah, I was all prepared to take it back, but I ran out of laps. Yeah. Right. Like he had said, I actually kind of pulled back on my effort thinking I had one more lap. And it can be a little hard, especially in the men's fields when there's so many racers. In this one race, we had the Cat 5 men, beginner men. We had the high school students. Was that it? And there was one other group, I think.
Well,
maybe it was the masters. Yes, the 40 plus men. So you don't really know. You get all these people on the course with you. You don't know if you've been lapped. You don't know.
Right.
So he just he tried to get too strategic. Then something else that's a little unique. Was it unique? What happens when you're riding if you get a flat tire, some kind of mechanical thing?
There is a pit that you can go into, and you can have spare wheels in there. You can have an entire spare bike.
Yep.
You can go in there for mechanical help. So as you come around every lap, you have the opportunity to go into the pit. And if you do go into the pit, you have to take service.
Oh, you can't just ride through
ride
it.
through
Never
the
mind.
pit. Yeah. So, but you'll see this in professional races where if it's a muddy race, they're going to change a bike every single lap.
Yep.
So they'll go into the pit and they'll get a handoff of their bike. So they'll dismount their bike on the fly, get their new bike. So basically, they never stop running and moving.
Yep.
And then exit the pit. You cannot go backwards at any point on the course. So there will be an entrance and an exit to the pit.
Yes.
But if you pass the pit by even like 1 foot, you cannot go backwards. You have to now go, run, say, all the way around the course back to the pit.
Or at least half. Today's pit was 2-sided.
No, it wasn't.
It was?
Yeah, it was single-sided.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I think he's wrong, but I'll agree with you. Okay. I did see one woman in the Cat 4 race switch her bike up twice.
Really?
Yeah, she had a pit bike, and then we had.
I wonder why.
In the
it was like perfect conditions today.
Yeah, I don't remember what was going on, and then we had the Cat 5. We saw someone on our friend's pit bike.
Yes.
We were like, oh yeah, he fell. He's covered in dirt.
He was covered in dirt. Yeah.
He couldn't clip in, unfortunately. He was like, this pit bike's not going to work because he
have
must not have been
cleats.
he had different cleats. So little incompatibility there. All right. And then they mentioned getting off. It's funny. The description you read said oftentimes dismounting, but
it's required.
I was going to say that was a weird.
It is required to have a feature that makes you dismount once per lap.
Just once?
Well, I guess it's twice per lap.
I think it's twice.
So there's this thing called barriers in cyclocross, which is a series of about maximum of 40 centimeters high.
Yep.
And usually it's sort of a couple of 2x8s stacked together. And they're going to be 15 feet apart or so.
Okay.
So it's always a double barrier system. And this is where almost everybody is going to dismount the bike, jump with their bike over the barriers, and then remount after that. There are people who can now bunny hop that. Mm-hmm. And so that's becoming a thing. We can talk about bunny hopping for a second. And I encourage everybody to go onto YouTube and type cyclocross Joey.
Oh,
because
okay.
that is a classic barrier video, all of about 10 seconds long.
Okay.
But it's a good one to go look up. So if bunny hopping can be faster, if you are good at it, every single barrier, every single lap. If you mess up just one barrier on one lap in that bunny hop, bobble it, hit it wrong, even slow down a little bit, you have now lost more time than if you had just run the barriers.
Well, that's really the strategy of cyclocross. And I remember Helen Wyman, when I took the High Tea with Helen clinic years ago. She's the British national champion. And she said, it's about getting you and your bike through the course in a way that is fastest for you and your bike. So you can watch somebody else ride the sand and maybe be very fast at it. But if you know you could run it faster, that's what you do. You get off your bike.
Yeah,
and
that was
you
the better
run
choice
that,
for you.
And that would be the better choice for you. And I have seen people bunny hop slowly only to have somebody run past them carrying their bike. So yeah, there's the flair of it. And then there's the what's fastest for you.
Right.
And can you consistently do it? And they can try to force you off with logs, but barriers are the most common.
Staircases.
Yeah.
The staircases are common.
Yep. So there's a lot of things they can do, but the barriers are the most common. When we were talking about doing this clinic with our friend Jeff, who was on the show, he pointed out, I really didn't think about this, that with the growth in gravel bikes, there is now a new potential audience for cyclocross.
There is. Yep.
Right? Because when we started cyclocross, there were cyclocross bikes.
Yes, there were not gravel bikes.
Right.
If you were doing so-called gravel riding, I can air quote that, but it was on your cyclocross bike.
Right.
Yeah.
But today, we're really trying to encourage a ride what you have kind of philosophy. So, let's talk about the bike.
All right, so let's talk about a cyclocross bike.
Yes.
So traditionally, a cyclocross bike is essentially a road bike, and the difference being between that and a road bike is that usually the bottom bracket was a little higher, so that you could go over obstacles with a little more clearance.
Okay.
The steering was a lot sharper than a road bike, which would be a little more stable.
Okay.
Because this was meant for slower speeds around tight 90-degree corners, accelerating out of those corners. It was purpose built for that kind of twisty course.
Yeah.
And then the gearing on it, I mean, a lot of the gearing around when we were racing was still the same as road, although it was just coming into where one by was being popular.
Yes.
And so there was sort of that crossover at the time when we were racing a lot, about 10 years ago or so.
Yep.
Yeah. So now what happened is the gravel and the professionals can only use 33 millimeter tires. So a lot of cyclocross bikes were just made to fit 33. Usually they could fit 35, and in the biggest cases about 40 millimeter tires.
Okay.
And then along came gravel. So gravel lowered those bottom brackets a little bit. They slackened out the head tubes a little bit more. They were really more traditionally like a road bike that could fit a bigger tire, and now way bigger tires is
Right.
is the preference for gravel bikes.
Yep. It's funny you say that because I remember, so we had Focus cyclocross bikes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you started riding your cyclocross bike out in the woods, mixed terrain,
Yep.
under biking. And
Yep.
you would come home. You're like, it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I would do it. And I'd be like, this kind of sucks. I don't like it that much. It's not that comfortable. I don't like riding this bike in the woods. And then you got me a different bike
Mm-hmm.
that you said was more slack, and it was more, and it was much more comfortable.
It was more stable. It had bigger tires. It had easier gearing.
Right.
And that's when you sort of got it.
And that's when I was like, okay, I now understand what you ding dongs are doing out here.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, a lot of those bike manufacturers are not either making cyclocross bikes anymore.
No, the market's gravel. So everybody's
Right.
making a gravel bike.
Right.
There's a handful of brands still making true cyclocross bikes.
Right. So how do you know if your gravel bike, how do you make your gravel bike cyclocross ready?
I would say, I mean, everybody, first of all, on a gravel bike can just use that for cyclocross.
Okay.
It is going to be perfectly appropriate for it. And some cases, you're really not going to know what you're missing, right? So, and you also, in cyclocross, there is no bike restriction. So this is where use what you have.
Ride what you want.
If you want to ride your full suspension mountain bike, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's the great thing about cyclocross. And with the current crop of road bikes taking bigger tires, so now most road bikes will take at least 32 millimeter and on sometimes 35 and 30. I mean, right there, you can find a cyclocross appropriate tires in that range.
Right.
To just use your road bike now for cross.
We had two people show up at the second of our clinics on road bikes.
On road bikes.
They had put
modern road bikes.
Modern road bikes. They had put flats on because they normally were on look pedals. So they did recognize those were the wrong pedals.
Yeah, road pedals were wrong.
And it was funny. They were there because they had been watching it on YouTube. They'd been watching cyclocross. She dragged him there, and then she was like, look at him. He's having so much fun. So they had a couple of moments. Okay, we need new pedals, new shoes, new tires.
Right.
But bike, solid, right? Like they realized the bikes were probably usable.
Yeah, absolutely.
They did have a 2x in the front. So they had two.
That's fine. I mean, that's how all cross bikes traditionally were.
Right. And the only potential downside to that was when you put sometimes you can drop your chain. Like, I don't remember what was the.
Yeah, but it's not. That's more comes into a hard putting your bike down too hard. So there's a little bit of technique there that you would. But it's not that common.
Right. And then mountain bikes, as you said, can totally be ridden. We had one of our teenagers was on one today. We had in the women's race, you had a couple. So it really is ride what you have.
Yeah.
It's really tempting to feel like you have to keep up with the gear, but you really don't.
Yeah,
because
because most people are going to be on some sort of cyclocross gravel bike type of bike.
Yeah.
And they are the best choice.
Right. Right. Because in particular, and we'll talk about the skills, but when you're picking it up and down, that's when you're like, oh, that's heavy. That's definitely a heavier bike. So we talked about the fact that you can put on wider tires, but let's talk about the kind of tires, because so I was riding today at Midnight Ride. I did a couple of loops and I immediately said, oh, these are the wrong tires.
Oh, no. When I put your bike in the car last night,
These are-
I said, well, she's only going to be doing practice laps.
Yeah,
She's not
yeah.
racing, but
Yes.
boy, are these the wrong tires.
Right. Why are they the wrong tires?
So you had Schwalbe G1 all-arounds, which is just basically the exact same micro knob that goes all the way around.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite tires for a lot of reasons, but not a cyclocross tire. So that is not a tire that grips well in grass.
which is all this was.
And this is almost an entirely grass course, and you need to be making fast 90-degree turns on grass. And so this was a course that required edge knobs. So
Okay.
I was on a what cross races we'll call a file tread tire.
Okay.
And a file tread tire means the center is very smooth or has just micro knobs or just some sort of ribbing of some sort. And then often the side walls will have larger knobs that protrude out.
Okay.
So that's what I was on. And I was like, oh, this is my gravel tire, but boy, were they great cross tires.
Okay.
I mean, I was railing the turns. The side knobs I had were just digging in really, really well. Yeah. And the whole time, and my first lap out there, I'm going around and I'm just, I'm like, this is awesome. These tires would have been perfect if I was racing.
Right.
And then I thought about you. I thought about you immediately. I said, oh, she's going to be slipping all over the place on this.
I was just cautious. I wasn't racing. I was going out. First, I went out with the two boys. And so we just talked through some of the techniques. But as I was, going around and pedaling through the turns, I was like, yep, nope, these aren't holding on to much.
And your pressure was also too high because we had put your pressure up a little higher for your ride that you did yesterday.
Right.
And I also knew that.
Yeah.
You would have been a little better if your pressure was low.
Yeah.
And in cross, you will find that you are trying to go almost as low of pressure as you can get for that grip.
Okay.
But there's that balance point that there could be sharp obstacles like roots out on a course, and you don't want to bang your rim.
Yep.
So that's the first thing to sort of test in warm up that you're not going to bang your rim. And the other is that you get too low, your tires also can feel kind of like they're about to roll off the rim in the corners, and you want to avoid that as well.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So that's the gear, and we've been talking a little bit about the skills that are cyclocross specific.
Yeah, let's talk about the main skills that we did in the clinic that once you just practice those and you should go try your first cross race.
I really want to give Jeff credit for this because he was like, look, you know how to ride your bike.
Right.
Unlike road ride, the thing that's different about cyclocross is there's no recreational cyclocross, right? You can road ride recreationally or you can race. You can mountain bike recreationally or you can race.
Yes.
There's no I'm just going to go out and ride in a field and jump things, right? That's just not a thing. And so he said there's 4 things that you need to know. And if you can do that, then you're ready for cyclocross.
Yep.
It doesn't need to be a long clinic. You don't need to keep coming back to me. Just then go do this in your front yard.
Right.
All right. So number 1.
Dismounting.
Getting off your bike while it's moving.
Getting off your bike while it's moving, which is basically a movement of swinging your right leg over the saddle, still clipped in on your left pedal, and as you're at speed approaching the item, like the barrier that you need to dismount for, and then right at the last moment, flicking your heel out, unclipping that left pedal, and then going right into a running motion.
Right. So that's number 1. And once you learn how to do that, once I learned how to do that, I think that's the only way I got off my bike now. It's just cool.
I think a lot of people actually probably can do this, and they just don't realize they can do this.
Well, they also probably just stop. It's the threading together the other pieces, right? So yes, you would do this, and then you would just stop. But we're going to take it to the next step, right? So you do the flicking motion, and then you continue to now run, hopefully maintaining
maybe
the same
jumping
speed.
over barriers. Yep.
Yes, maintaining the same speed.
Right.
So that's skill number 2.
No, that's
still on the...
Oh, the skill number 2 is, so if you're going over the barriers...
Yes.
Skill number 2 would be the carrying of the bike.
Yes.
So now you have to take your bike and you have to get over items. So now you are on foot and you have to lift up your bike. One of the carries we called the suitcase carry because you're basically lifting it up like a suitcase. Right?
Yeah. But the big thing is your natural instinct when you pick it up is the saddle ends up in your armpit.
This is a height specific thing.
Yeah,
and we talked about that.
Absolutely. Yep. And immediately it's easily correctable, but I was working with a young woman today, and she picked it up, and I just kind of moved her arm to the inside. She immediately got it.
Yep,
She was
she
like,
needed her
"Oh,
saddle
okay."
on the outside of her elbow.
Right, because it restricts you from getting it up maybe as high as you need it to get over the barriers.
Right. And the taller you are, the less
you
that,
have
yes,
to
you have, the more
worry about
room you
this.
have to lift up your bike. So I can get my bike over barrier height under my arm if I want to.
Exactly.
Yep.
But a good habit to get into is
But
to
it's
have
speed. But it's speed. Actually, you see the photos of me. So now the bike is actually kind of out to my side a little bit.
Yes.
Because I am going through the barrier basically at the same speed and running with it the same speed that I would be riding.
Yes. Yeah. In the old days when you did that.
In the old days.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have it up in the suitcase. You're going to run over these two barriers. If you're short, you might even step on them to get over them. I saw that a couple of times today.
Yes.
And that's okay to do because they are usually very solidly built. And then you get to the other side of the barriers
And the final skill is the remounting. And this is the hardest one.
This is the weirdest one.
Because people don't do this for any other purpose but cross.
Yeah. Which is to jump or slide back on your saddle.
Right.
At speed.
At speed. Yep.
Yes. And I say jump or slide because you and I do teach it a little bit differently. You recommend trying to get a little air, not a lot, but a little in part to break through that barrier in your brain.
Yes, because this is the first time you do it. It's sort of this leap of faith too.
Yes.
It's very awkward. You mean so you have both hands on the hoods. So and you're running alongside your bike on the left hand side. So now you're running on your bike, both hands on the hoods. Now you need to basically remount onto the saddle at full running speed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little intimidating, and the fact of the matter is there's no style points. Just get on the bloody bike and go. Right. If you need to stop and get on, fine. I think one thing I saw a lot when we were teaching people was there's a real inclination to try to clip in as fast as possible. And when I've said to all of them, don't worry about that.
Yep. Don't worry about that.
Just get the bike going, mash your feet down, and then you can figure out where your feet are supposed to be rather than worrying about like keeping your foot face down, trying to figure out where your feet are. So there's a little bit of faith that they're down there. You know your foot will get in there at some point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the better you are at the skill of reclipping in, the better. We can talk about sort of flat pedals if you're sort of coming from the mountain biking side. And again, sort of like why 95% are going to be on a cross or gravel bike. It's going to be the same way for clipping in as well. And it is overall better to clip into your pedals than it is to use flats. And if you're coming from the mountain bike side and you use flats, you probably have metal pins on your flats. You are going to do some, if you're learning cross, you're going to do some real damage to yourself with those pins. So it is even almost a safety thing.
I can't say you aren't going to do some damage to yourself even without the pins. When I first started, I had a bad habit of I would get back on the saddle and my legs would just kind of swing down and I would slam one of my shins into the pedal because I wasn't good at that mash thing. So as you will remember, I wore shin pads for the first year, and I'll never forget being at Gloucester and hearing them call up the shin pad class of racers. Right. But I was like, again, there's no rules here, and I was bashing up my shins, so I might as well give that a try. And that's it. Those are the skills. Dismount, remount, carry, barriers.
Yes.
Like there are others. Even talking today to our teammate, he had taught his girlfriend about shouldering, and I was like, which is another way to carry the bike.
Yeah, and there can be steep hills or stairs that you need to shoulder your bike and run up while you're shouldering. Yeah. That is another skill, but it is not something it's not one of the core skills.
And that's what I said.
To get you going.
I said to her, I was like, you do not need to shoulder today. There is nothing shoulderable. And when we did second clinic, that couple said to me, "Do we get to learn how to shoulder?" And I was like, "Oh, you really are watching European cyclocross. If you had seen shouldering, it's a fun skill to have. As you said, it's really good if you have to run through something or run up something. But those are it.
And then
Dismount, remount,
cornering is
carry,
a big
barrier.
skill as well. But not a skill. It's a skill you can work on. It's not a skill that's going to prohibit you from getting out there and having a fun race.
Yeah, the cornerings, just when I was talking to the mountain bike boys today, their instinct was to hit the corner and stop pedaling, right? And just, which works great in mountain biking, but in cyclocross can mean you're going to start just sliding. And so I was explaining to them that just to practice pedaling through the turns. The funny thing about cyclocross is it's not that fast, right? Like when we say fast, it's not that fast. It's one of the reasons it's such a welcoming type of racing. And I was saying to them, you may end up pedaling and braking at the same time because you have too much speed, but the pedaling is going to give you the traction and to give you the power,
the
and
momentum
control.
out of the turn.
Yeah, exactly. So, but again, all very practicable. You'll learn your way. We talked about how to read a course. The other thing is you do get to, you can't really go, a week or two before a race. You can go before the race to pre-ride the course. What else do we need to know about cyclocross?
So let's just, I guess, go over how you sign up.
Yes.
And that would be Bike Reg.
Yep.
Bike Reg has all the cross races. You can filter by your region, by your state, and you can find all the races.
Yep.
And it is a niche sport. So there are going to be certain areas of the country, like New England, which has a cross race that is a good, not a far drive away from you every single weekend.
Yeah.
And I think the Pacific Northwest is like that. They have a lot of races in California, but then there's other races or other areas that just don't have races then.
I know. Well, we can only do what we can do.
Right. And then crossresults.com is where all of the results from these races are aggregated.
Yep.
And you can see stats, you can see all of your different times for each lap that you did in that race, if you're interested in that.
Yep.
And you can see all the racers around you, and it'll start to rank them, and it'll start to give you nemesis in terms of people that you have are finishing very near each time.
Yep.
And because that's what you'll find if you start doing a lot of races, you'll find there are certain people who you might beat by a couple places one week, and they beat you by a couple places the next week, and that sort of becomes your almost inter-race competition.
Yeah.
Are those people?
Yep. And you also, one of the things I always liked about cross results that we do not have the equivalent of for mountain bike racing is that all the races are there, all the results are there, and all the photos are there.
Yeah,
so
the photos.
A lot of photographers will either professional or amateur around here will show up, they'll take photos, they'll share the link to cross results so you can download pictures, you can buy pictures. I really missed that when, with mountain bike racing, I always have to go find the race organizer. Hopefully they had a photographer. If they didn't have a photographer, you didn't really know where someone else might be sharing things. So I always really liked the community around the photography of that. And you're right. You end up with like your little core crew. It was fun showing up today. I'm not sad I didn't race, but it was wild to show up to see all these people that I used to race with, which was really a blast. There are other resources for someone who wants to know more about cross from smart people, like...
you have the Jeremy Powers Book of Cross. So that was a series of YouTube videos, which are still up.
Not technically a book.
They are a little older now, but completely applicable. The techniques have not changed.
Followed his season too. It was interesting. It was
very interesting.
I was watching it recently. And then, so Jeremy Powers is a past professional cyclocross
national champion,
right, from here in New England. And then we have quite a few well-known racers. We have Adam Meyerson, and he was recently on an episode of the Fast Talk podcast. So if you want recent information where he talks about race day strategies, like covering equipment, course inspection, warm up. So some of the things that we didn't talk about today, because again, this is only an hour-ish podcast, right?
Right.
But it was really fun. Today was really fun. Even if you're not thinking about racing, highly recommend going to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Today was really just a fun day of racing. Every 45 minutes, you had a new crew out there. And the littles, can we just for a minute talk about the little racers who like 8, 9, 10, and the barrier was up to their belly button and they trying to get the bike over it. Dead. Anyway. All right. Well, let's take a break and we will come back with a listener question. We'll wrap it up.
Okay.
All right, we're back. We got a couple of questions and comments in the last couple of weeks. First, we had someone who asked, what would be your recommended gearing for an Allied Able, which is Allied Cycle Works gravel bike?
That was a question, but that doesn't, my answer to that.
Depends.
Well,
Okay.
I do give a lot of depends, but no, it's a gravel bike and it would apply to any gravel bike frame.
Okay.
So,
But you sell Allied, so let's talk about the...
okay. For gravel, I am a one-by person.
Okay.
And I'm also an axis person, SRAM axis electronic shifting.
Yes.
So my first recommendation is then it's where it depends because the current axis 13-speed stuff has a 10 through 46 cassette.
Okay.
Which is good, but it's not the 52 cog of an Eagle cassette. So the question is, where are you riding it? How are you riding it? What kind of events are you going to do? And then figure out if the 46 tooth large cog is big enough or if they need the 52.
Right. Yep.
So that would be the answer to that.
So that would be the
Right.
answer. To
And
that.
then
Depends.
and then the Able takes 2.2 up to 2.25 tires. So it takes big tires, and I certainly nowadays recommend in that 50 to 60 millimeter range, which is in
Really?
that range. Yeah.
Why?
The comfort and the grip are just amazing. And it's a lot of it's the comfort.
It's funny. We have a gentleman who just picked up his Able.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be riding it at Gravel
Nationals.
Yeah. It's got, what is it?
He has 2.25 Vittorias.
2.25.
Mm-hmm.
He did say that it was a little draggy on the pavement.
Yep.
But
Otherwise, he was
Otherwise,
blowing by people.
he said he felt completely confident and in control.
So we talked about, me today running around the course on my gravel bike and how good I thought it was. And I was on 50 millimeter tires, my gravel tires. Something I would have never thought about in the day to use on a cross course. When we were
Really?
using 33s, and then I went to 35s near the end. And, I'm going to a big tire
You're
with
on
a
a big
35.
Little
Right?
did you know.
And here and then now it's been a while since I have raced, but I was trying to do a lot of this course at a race pace.
Yeah.
And I was just sort of stunned at where's this traction coming from? And it was really low pressure on really wide tires.
Can we talk also about this thing so when you say you were on 35,
It's basically 35 millimeter wide.
because those are based on road measurements, but then you said you were on 2.25 because those are based on mountain bike measurements.
So mountain bike tires use inches, and road and gravel and cross use millimeters. But you will a lot of times see nowadays the mountain bike tires will also give a millimeter rating. So you might see 57, right, instead of, which would be like a 2.2 tire.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yep. I love this industry.
There's always a version there.
Okay, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of this, the good transition, we got a question. I'm checking my saddlebag for my gravel bike. My tires are tubeless, but I'm carrying a tube for backup. What size tube do I carry? My tires are 700 by 45C. I have a 700 by 20 to 28 tube on hand. Would that be enough, or would I want to go bigger?
So
So
you
many numbers.
definitely want to go bigger with your tube. You want your tube to match your tire size.
Okay.
But if you've ever inflated a tube outside of a tire, a road tube will just expand way bigger than a 45 millimeter tire.
Okay.
And so it's capable of doing it. The problem is it gets really thin and more fragile as it expands. Now you've expanded that tube beyond its intended range.
Right.
And so that's where it's just not going to be. You could puncture more easily with that tube.
Because it's a
It
balloon.
can work though in an emergency backup situation.
Right. But ideally,
Yep.
the tube should match
Right.
the tire.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Now,
maybe-
and it's also a little bit different in terms of this is for gravel bike, they said, right?
Yes.
But if you're on a road bike and you're using 35 millimeter tires, but you're carrying a tube that was rated for 18 to 23, that gets a little bit more different. It will still do it, but because you're going to an even higher pressure on the road bike, you're sort of overdoing it a little more than you would on a
Okay.
gravel bike.
All right.
Yeah.
So they should match. All right. Well, I think that's it for today.
Okay.
Phew, we got through it. Cycling Together with Kristen and Steve is a production of Steve the Bike Guy, an independent bicycle shop in Eastern Massachusetts, and Sundin Marketing.
If you like the show, please leave a review or share with a friend. For show notes, links, or to leave a comment, question, or topic suggestion, please visit cyclingtogether.bike.
You can follow the shop on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok at Steve the Bike Guy. Thank you for joining the ride.
Okay, see you next time.
Press is hard.
I hate
Is
you,
that
but
hard?
you're cutting that whole section out about...
Fine.
yeah, that was bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Harsh.
I know.
But you know what I am using? This. Yep. This is a marriage that lasts, people.